Welcome into the Metro News studio. I'm Allan Taylor, and thanks for hopping aboard the Friday Gold and Blue Lunch Report. One thing left to do before we take flight to Lawrence, and that is the show. So let's cue up the matchups for West Virginia at Kansas. The Mountaineers love to run the zone read, and from the looks of these highlights, they're going to really love running it against Kansas. Just check out the Jayhawks' national statistical rankings, bearing in mind there are 127 teams in the FBS. Number 121 in rush defense, number 126 in scoring defense, number 125 in pass efficiency defense, and number 127 dead last in total defense. The fact that they're 110th in third down defense seems almost robust by comparison. And if you're looking for a slogan to slap on next year's media guide, Kansas can at least herald the fact that it's 57th nationally in fewest penalties per game. Turns out there is an upside to your defense never getting close enough to the football to actually grab a face mask or yank a horse collar. Seriously, when I started watching these clips, I had tears streaming down my face because I thought this was one of those videos where the defense lets the sick kid score a touchdown. I was sharing this video, #sportsmanship. I was utterly inspired before recognizing that KU's defense actually was uninspired. When they started the season giving up 41 points to an FCS team, you figured, hey, there's nowhere to go but up. But like the bottomless fries at Red Robin, the missed tackles and the busted assignments just kept on coming. Now Wendell Smallwood stands just 3 yards behind Shock Linwood for the Big 12 rushing lead, so a great chance for him to claim the top spot this weekend. Russell Shell should get a heavy workload also, especially if Skylar Howard's throwing hand isn't completely healthy. Okay, so we're going to be a little more positive about the Jayhawks offense. At least we will be once we show you this string of catastrophes. Beginning with the most Kansas way to lose a football game ever. Season opener versus South Dakota State, and Mozell Coatsart has the Jayhawks in field goal range, only needs to spike the ball. But what? This happened. He fumbled the snap, went down to his knees, and voila, the clock expires. Brutal start. And for Coatsart, it only got worse. Season-ending shoulder surgery, his backup DeAndre Ford had season-ending thumb surgery, and Michael Cummings' season never got started at all, thanks to a torn ACL in the spring, which is why you're seeing true freshman Ryan Willis. He's a 3-star pro-style quarterback who has thrown TDs in 6 straight games, a couple of those actually against the opponent's first-team defense. But he also has suffered 2 groin injuries, which makes him a sitting duck in the pocket. Now weapons are scarce, but KU's top receiver is a name you might recognize, Trey Parmalee. His dad was NFLer Bernie Parmalee, who played during the days when shoulder pads were as wide as Kansas. The younger Parmalee has 32 catches, but the Jayhawks shouldn't be much of a threat. Haven't topped the 20-point mark since week 2 and ranked 121st nationally in scoring and 107th in total offense. Now remember that first-year Kansas head coach David Beatty left his job as wide receivers coach at Texas A&M before last year's Liberty Bowl. In retrospect, bad move, since it doesn't appear Kansas will qualify for a bowl game anytime between now and the zombie apocalypse. So, do the Mountaineers cover the 28-point spread Saturday? That may be a stretch, but you can be sure they won't sleepwalk into Lawrence like they did in 2013. WVU becomes bowl eligible with a 40-14 win. Around the Big 12, 3-6 K-State gets the first of 3 straight wins it needs to become bowl eligible. Number 7 Oklahoma welcomes number 18 TCU in a game that has lost a little bit of zing since Trevon Boykin is hobbled. And in another biggie, Baylor might be down to its third-string quarterback against Oklahoma State. That means the Cowboys climb to 11-0, setting up next week's mother of all bedlams. Some Friday night hoops on tap at the Coliseum as 0-2 Stetson visits. The Hatters like to play fast. In fact, they're giving up 101 points per game so far against Richmond and the Citadel. A few more bullet points on Stetson. It was indeed named after the Hat Guy back in 1889, and it bears one of the better academic reputations among Florida universities, which makes it a real bummer that the hoops team is banned from the NCAA tournament this year because of a sagging APR. Notable alumni include Cy Young winner Corey Kluber and Mets phenom Jake DeGrom, whose last name autocorrects to legroom on my phone. But let's not overlook the biggest West Virginia Stetson connection of all, Ted Cassidy, the 6'9" actor who played Lurch on The Addams Family, averaged a double-double for the Hatters in the 1950s. And before that, he was raised in Philippi, West Virginia. Finally, the NCAA Women's Soccer Round of 32 unfolds in Morgantown, where fourth-ranked West Virginia hosts Northwestern on Friday night. If the Mountaineers win, they'll play again Sunday versus Minnesota or Loyola Marymount. Point your browser toward wvmetronews.com for continuing coverage of the Mountaineers. Thanks for joining us on The Lunch, and we'll see you from Lawrence, Kansas. Have a swell weekend.